All right, so let me just quickly give you a bit of a precursor to this PDF. I'm not a financial consultant. I do not offer financial advice. So please consult a competent expert in that regard. But you see, we all have to deal with our finances on a daily basis. And I do not imagine that anybody would like to live their lives going to knock on the doors of an accountant or a finance consultant in order to decide how to spend money to keep up the house and all that, to maintain the household. Yes, we do need guidance, but a lot of us, by virtue of the fact that we can read and write, we can study the resources that are provided, videos, reports and all of that, audios that tell us how to go about this thing, and there are books also. So because all these things exist, a lot of us are actually doing it. And based on the advice we read in this documentation, in these resources, advice we hear in the videos, we then take decisions to say, okay, let me invest in this and in that. That's how this 1 million naira portfolio myth became popularized. It's one of those things that some of these financial consultants conceived in order to get large numbers of people to pay them attention. They make it sound so simple and easy to implement and profit from that people believe them. I am not saying the internet will defraud people. I'm just saying that they oversimplify things and make people think or believe that the way they've described it is the way it will work out at the minimum. So people are not going to put too much thought into it. They just take the 1 million naira they have and they put it in the manner these people have described. But the problem is that they fail to point out to people the differences between the different channels the money is put in as it relates to one, the returns you can get from them, two, how quickly you can convert the money to liquid cash. Now, most importantly, how friendly they are for use in managing one's need for cash flow on a day-to-day basis. Because ultimately, what we're trying to look at here is somebody saying, "Look, I've gotten to a point where I can actually retire because my money is working for me to the extent that what I need to function on a daily basis is generated by way of interest that I earn on these funds that are put in different places." So people are assuming that this thing will be adequate, but actually, when you do the math, you find that it doesn't add up. And that's what people like me, I'm a very critical thinker. And there's no area of endeavor I have interest in. And that's why I tell people today, school is dead. You've got to go on the web and use the resources available. They are superior to whatever the school might offer you. So people like me were able to do the critical thinking. And I've read books by Kiyosaki that have taught me how to think around these kinds of solutions that are offered by the conventional financial experts. And you're looking at it and you're saying, this thing doesn't add up. Because if you break it down, you cannot get enough money to survive on if you put the money in those places. But they present the big figure that you get at the end of the day, but they don't let you see the numbers as it trickles down to your day-to-day needs. So in this PDF, you see that what has been done is it's been done with kind of reverse engineered, and you see that what you end up with is completely impossible to depend on. So then an alternative way of doing it is proposed based on your definition, or in this case, I put a target earning of 250K for each month. That's the minimum I wanted to be able to get as returns from my investments in these channels. All right. And then I said, if somebody were to do that, this therefore would be the amount of capital you need to start with in order to be able to get that amount at the end of every month or within a month to live on. Now, even that is subject to variation because Nigeria is a market that is crazy erratic, but it makes your strategy and your adoption of it much more realistic, and therefore you can look forward to something resembling that in form of stability in your ability to make money. And then of course the activities you can engage in to supplement that. So I got the I came up with the idea to do this because of a question I got from a young man. And I realized that the simplicity with which the thing was being described could mislead a lot more people. The gentleman just asked me the question, is this true? What I did, and I have that habit, I'm a speed reader and a very critical thinker. So I went through the post that the information was featured on, this strategy was described on, and I read through the comments. Turns out Not surprisingly too, and that's why I read through the comments. I knew I wasn't the only one that would understand that this thing was not going to work the way it was described. But people were coming there to say, look, Presco dropped like this. In fact, right now it's really like, I can't believe it, and Narco is like this and all that. And people were bringing the reality of the thing, and they were discussing it. So some people who were doing it, maybe at various levels, were sharing their experiences, and those things they were sharing immediately indicated that this thing could not be a dependable way to generate sustainable income for one to survive on a day-to-day basis. For instance, as a retiree, you know. So when I read that, I knew, okay, clearly these guys are complaining. But you see, they were complaining. Oh, when I bought it, it was this. Now it's this. That's one thing, no. But what about when you want to sell? Are you able to sell when you want to sell? Are you able to sell at the price you want to sell? You know, and what do you end up with at the end of the day? So I said, look, maybe I should try and put something together. I'm not, again, I say it, I do not offer financial consulting. In fact, personally, I do a lot of stuff in the area of digital real estate because for me, I have learned that it is better to invest in digital real estate because the kind of, if you do it right, you can actually get it yielding returns to you, okay, more or less passive income continuously for an unlimited, indefinite period of time. It's not like the mutual fund thing, which is the most, how do I put it, the most useful and most flexible of the channels that were discussed in this particular case study that this young man presented to me. You know, the digital real estate domain is a place where you can put your money into the purchase of certain digital properties and then kind of lease them out so that you get it's kind of like you become a digital landlord, an online landlord, and you have online tenants. And these online tenants will be with you literally for an indefinite period of time because they all want to maintain access to those properties that they've acquired under your platform. And I find that to be a much more reliable and profitable way. It doesn't mean these ones are not okay, but I'm just saying in terms of earning income, if you build up a base of people who are leasing property, digital property from you over time, you'll actually get to a point where you will be able to say, you know what, this is what's coming in every month and I can stop work technically because all these guys are due to sending money on the average every 30 days. Each of these groups of people. So you have them pockets of people for January, for February, for March. And so the combined submission they make in order to renew their lease with you online would effectively cater for your needs in terms of your cash flow. And then beyond that, because it's a digital world for me, I am able to provide services continuously based on what I do, the passion I have for creating content digitally. So apart from the fact that they are leasing digital real estate from me, all right, becoming tenants with me, they are also actually hiring me to help them create digital content. Now, that's the kind of thing I would like to put my money into. Rather than go and put money in all these risky channels, this stocks and bonds thing that the Nigerian market, you're not even sure what's influencing the fluctuation. And people are doing it. But I do not blame anybody and don't judge anybody and I do not claim to be an expert. However, what's working for me is what I just described. Now, the specifics of what I described that I'm doing in the digital real estate domain, if you're interested in, you can reach out to me. But I'm just saying that to help people who are trying to decide on this one, this is something I've considered many, many times because I was thinking of what I could do for my kids. There was some bulk money I got, and I was thinking, do I do this? Do I do this? Eventually, I narrowed down to mutual market funds. That's the one I narrowed down to as the most reliable, and it's the only one I've really taken is with any degree of seriousness. But that one, you also have to have a significant amount of capital you want to put in there. But I love the fact that it's something that you can actually milk and get money out of money in short term. And that's the beauty of it. I love it so much. It's good. So that's one I recommend. But since this particular case study involved a combination of that option and three others, I felt it's better to just prepare something that would be kind of a better alternative to what the case study itself proposed. So I hope what I've said makes sense. I just provided this precursor to let you understand the where this idea to do this came from. I'm not likely to do anything again of this sort because this is not my area of interest or passion. But because it's important for all of us to understand that whether we like it or not, there are things we have to do, even though we're not experts in them, and we must develop some degree of competence. For instance, we all use smartphones and we're all learning how to use technology in various ways. We use, the Wi-Fi and all of that. We have to learn it, but it doesn't mean that all of us are going to be like at the level of competence of the IT guys. you know. So we have specialization, people who are specialists in something, but some of us have to have some basic level of familiarity with the tools in order to use it. So some people, for instance, now they are in the farm business area, and they are not the ones that manufacture the machines that are used for drying and all of that, but they have to use those machines. So they got to learn how to use the machines and how to fix those machines. It's the same thing. So basically, that's what this is about. I'm just offering experience-based ideas and insights, not advice. If you find it useful, please share with others. If you have any questions, do let me know. But like I said, I'm not offering advice to you. So you can take what I've said and take this PDF and present it to a financial consultant. Let him tell you if he agrees with it or not. I will tell you, however, that he cannot argue with the facts that are presented in this document because they are based on the truth. That's the reality of the Nigerian market. If you are in America, maybe most likely the situation will be different, but the analysis presented is based on the reality of the Nigerian money market. That particular portfolio thing, that $1 million portfolio thing, they just popularize it. It's not something you can lean on to sustain yourself in terms of getting the cash flow to survive on a day-to-day, month-to-month basis for an entire year. And you'll see why when you look at the numbers, they don't add up. All right. But the alternative could. Now, the question is, can you get that kind of capital? If you can, then of course, put it together and you'll be able to enjoy those returns. All right. If you have any questions, do let me know. I wish you well.